I've tried over 50 pickleball accessories and some of them worked for me and some of them didn't. If you guys do want to check out anything from the video today, all of the products are going to be listed in the description. Anything that I could find on Amazon, I'll also post the Amazon links to. If I have an affiliate code with any of these companies, I'll share them in the description. If not, I'll find the best code I could for you on the description as well. Let's start off with weights. If you're not using weights on your pickleball paddle, you should really consider it. It helps add a lot of power and stability, and you can really customize a paddle from being good to great just from adding weight. And there's quite a few options, but generally the ones that I usually like are tungsten tape that come in a big roll. You can get them half gram per inch or a gram per inch. And I usually like those rather than the cut off ones that have already preset been cut, mainly because I find those fall off more often. And I think it's just a little more customizable to be able to cut off exactly the strip size you want. Another option you could go for if you do not like to use tape on your paddle and don't want that permanent-ish solution. I mean, it can come off, but of course it leaves the residue. You can use these clips that I found. These are weighted clips. These are by Neobadge, an Amazon company, but there's a lot of them. There's pickle clips, there's slice clips. I think you use a little hex wrench to actually put those little weights on. This is a little easier and more immediate, but of course it has to be a 16mm paddle in order for these to fit. They fit pretty snug. Some of them do slide every now and then, but most of the time I've never noticed them slide too much. Now a skip for me for weights is these coin caps. I've tried them from Pickleball Effect. I've tried them from off brands on Amazon. They all generally do the same thing. I found the coin caps are just a really good fit though, usually if you want to go that way. But I've always found that they just didn't do enough for me. It was really hard to tell if there's any difference because like when you put it on the bottom, there's just not too much difference you'll notice when you do that. It could pull the balance point down a little bit, but it's really not an optimal position to be putting weights on a paddle anyway. All right. So training balls, any balls like the silent foam balls or these little response timing balls, I found them not to be that useful. Maybe you could gain a little bit of reaction and pickup time, but really I don't think they are like a real ball enough to really get what you need from them. They're just not realistic enough to actually get you to improve with any of these. So I've tried these mini balls, I've tried foam balls. They just don't bounce or react natural enough, just like an actual pickleball, to really be useful in most cases. Undergrip. So if you have tennis elbow or if you have big hands or you just need something to stabilize that paddle a little bit more, these are pretty good options. There's Hesicore grips, there's, I think Ethos makes their own grips, and also Pickleball Grip Doctor makes this grip. It's a wrap core. Out of all of the undergrips I've actually tried, I prefer the Pickleball Grip Doctor's wrap core. Now, I'm gonna explain why. Let me take one out here. I really like this because it doesn't eat into the space that your hand is holding into the paddle because it kind of grooves down into it. Normally, sometimes if you use a Hesicore and put an overgrip, it does really make the circumference of that handle really big. So with this wrap core, it kind of narrows it down a little bit because it kind of hugs your hands into the grooves. So it feels a little bit smaller. And also when you're changing grips, it kind of helps you with changing grips actually, because you can follow the grooves while you're changing the grip. Usually it's a disadvantage to have the Hesicore when you're changing grips because it's bigger. You do have to like move it around a little bit more. It can be a little more clunky. This is actually a little bit easier to do. You can actually take off the undergrips and reuse them. I think you could probably do that with Hesicore too. It's pretty easy to put one of these on. You just take off the original grip and then twist this one on. Not too hard, you don't really need anything. You could add a little bit of water and soap to the handle if you need to, just to slide it up. And these are super easy to install, super easy to switch paddles with. I would say that Undergrips are not for everyone. It's mainly for people that have those issues that I brought up in the beginning. But if you do want to check out an undergrip that's pretty darn good, in my opinion, check out the Pickleball Grip Doctor Wrap Core. So following along on the subject of tennis elbow, I got these arm sleeves. So there's two compression sleeves that I mainly use on my elbow when I do feel like tennis elbow is starting to flare up. I use this Eyewear one as well as this Floki one. Both are pretty premium price. I'll put up the prices right here for either one, but I think the Floki might even be a little bit more pricey than the Tera Eyewear one. I forgot what this one is called, but both are great. I will say I like using the Floki a little more when I'm playing, and then I will wear the Tera band or the Eyewear one when I'm warming up or when I'm done with a session of play. I feel like this is actual good compression that helps my elbow move more freely, whereas this, it's just making my elbow feel better. And both are good. You could play with either one. I think this just is superior when playing, and this is actually superior when not playing, when just warming up. So I still use both. I also started getting into like sweat towels and sweatbands because during the summer months at my local center, it does still feel pretty humid in there, even with the AC running. So I started using these sweatbands. This is by a brand called Tera Lima, and it's very similar to the ADV one. If you're familiar with the ADV sweatbands, these I do not think are out on the market yet, but if I can find out, I'll put up the price right here, and if there's a link to it, I'll put it in the description. These are great. They just act as a regular sweatband, but they're definitely one of the nicer sweatbands I've ever had. They are very, very like thin, but hold plenty of sweat, so you don't need to actually bring a towel. One accessory I probably use for every single one of my paddles is an overgrip. Normally, if the circumference is anything less than 4.2 on a handle, I think I definitely need to put an overgrip. It's just too small for my hand to feel comfortable. It'll shoot up every vibration into my arm, so I use many different types of overgrips. Probably my favorite two right now are the forward one, and it's a tie between Bodhi and U-Drippin. I do normally like the U-Drippin Edu one more, but I haven't tried too many of Bodhi's, and the ones that I do try, I tend to really like. So it's hard for me to give a clear one that I really like more, but you know, either three of those will really work. I also like this new one that I've been trying from Beyond Measure. They sent out a bunch of their overgrips, and I just been trying out this one. This is their Pro Tech in white. And I don't know, I think this one will be my daily use one for most paddles. I just think this one is actually quite comfortable to hold in hand without it feeling too tacky. So speaking on overgrips helping with tackiness on holding that handle, I do also use a hand gripping spray. So I use this maybe an hour into pickleball, where my hands are starting to get a little bit of condensation on there. It's starting to feel a little wet. What you need to do is just spray one spray onto your hand. So I spray it onto my right hand, and then you let it air out for about a minute. You could probably get away with 30 seconds. It starts off a little stickier than you would expect. It feels like tree sap on your hands, honestly, right when you get it. But once it kind of dries off a little bit, it just has this nice tacky feeling to the handle, and you're just able to really get good grip on that handle. Now, it can in the beginning be a little sticky, so you're gonna notice right away when you hold on to the handle. It might be hard to change grips. So what I do recommend is if you don't like that feeling, you let it air out for a little longer than a minute, and it just comes into this really nice place where it's sticky enough, it dries out your hand just a little bit as well. So if you do have really sweaty hands, this helps a lot. You can definitely grip that paddle much better and it will not slip out. Last but not least, I have been trying a bunch of eyewear as well. So I've been trying these Dink glasses. They're similar to the kitchen blockers, they just don't have the tie behind the back and they just fold up and wear like glasses. I think they look a little less goofy than the kitchen blockers, but I can't tell if they provide more protection because it does feel like when a ball presses into my face, let me get a ball. It does feel like when a ball compresses into my eye, I can actually feel the ball a little more than the kitchen blockers. But of course, some eye protection is definitely better than none, and this, if you just need a quick solution, I think these are a little bit cheaper than kitchen blockers as well. But that, of course, leads me to kitchen blockers because these are probably still the gold standards for eye protection indoors because you don't have to worry about fogging or any of that. These in the Dink eyewear are lensless, so you don't have to worry about fogging at all. Now, I do have some complaints about the kitchen blockers. They tend to smell after a while. They can kind of press against your face really hard with this strap, so you have to be careful with that. And like sometimes this nose piece is just moving around way too much. I don't know how to get it to settle into its right place, but it just moves around a lot. But this is definitely the gold standard of eye protection for indoor play because it actually does stop the ball from reaching your eye in most cases. I find that even when I have really close calls, I never actually feel the ball scrape my eye. Whereas with the Dink eyeglasses, I can definitely tell that I will feel the ball scrape my eye. In the end, these are probably just a little better at protecting your eyes overall. These are a little bit more pricey, but hey, also offer a little bit more protection and kind of feel a little bit more rigid. I've also been testing out another set of eyewear protection, one from Vantage and one from Briotti. So I tried this Vantage one that has clear view so you can see the ball a little better when hitting. I do think you can actually see the ball a little better. You can get different lenses, pop them out and pop them in. I think these are definitely the coolest looking ones. These work better outdoor because of how the contrast system works. You will be able to see the ball better based off of the contrast and color and light. So obviously when outdoor, these work better. But I did have an issue playing with them indoor. Indoor, you're just not getting enough air through these. These are still going to fog up in the end. Not only that, when you sweat on them, it does kind of make it really hard to clean. And with these, I had a much harder time cleaning these than I thought I would. And it was much harder to see through them if you do sweat a lot. I had a hat on, so not a lot of hair was touching these lenses. So it should not have been hair sweat that was reaching these glasses. But if you are able to find good air conditioning in a pickleball center that will slow down your sweat quite a bit or remove a lot of the condensation, these do work for indoor, will still end up condensating quite a bit. For outdoor play, I did find these to be really good. I really did feel like you can see the ball a little better. I wouldn't say it's like super meaningful, but you are able to see the ball just a touch better than if you were just using your eyes. Not only that, I felt like these were the ones that I never worried about coming off. These actually hug onto the back part of my head quite nicely, and it felt like it was more comfortable than the other ones. It kind of felt like there's more space around the sides than the other glasses that I have tried. Now we come around to my favorite set of outdoor glasses right now, and these are the Briottis. And I actually can play with these indoors sometimes if the air conditioning is quite good. And that's because it actually has slits, where it lets in air. And because of that, I think it just keeps the condensation from coming as quickly, and it really needs to be pretty warm, pretty humid before it actually starts condensating. So I've been able to sometimes play with this indoor, and this is probably what I should be wearing most of the time. It provides obviously the best kind of eye protection because you're gonna have your eye actually covered, and because of that, you won't have to worry about debris coming off the ball when it hits your eye as well, because that can also happen at times. Now, this is also very comfortable, though I found the Vantage Labs to be slightly more comfortable. It does come with a strap as well, so you can just strap that on without worrying it coming off. Came with a few sizes of these nose pads, which was also nice. I tried these larger nose pads recommended to me by the owner of Brioti, and this fit way better on my face. Let me put it on for you guys. Like that, it fit way better on the face. And of course, this is just like the Vantage Labs one where you can change out the lenses. This seems to be the most intuitive way to change lenses. I really liked it. You can kind of, let me show you guys. You just need to actually move this center part up and down, and then it kind of just pops and slides out. So if you don't want your glasses to breathe, you can actually push this down so that it's more normal. And then once you need a little air in there, you can pop it up, and then now you can get air. And then once you have it all the way up, you just push it the lens forward and then pop that thing out to replace the lens. Honestly, very good glasses. Both the Vantage Labs and the Brioti are a little bit pricey. That's because of those lenses. All right, and so those are the main accessories I use when I'm playing pickleball. I've tried a bunch of them, and some of them really help my game, and really some of them are not as useful as you think. What do you guys think about these accessories? And what accessories do you use? Please recommend some down in the description so I can try them out and share them with the audience. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to hear about any of the other products that I featured in this video, or want a full review on something, please leave that in the comments so I know which ones you guys need to know about. All right, peace.